So as we start a new section, we're going to be starting to look at inequalities. And to begin that, I think that there's four things that you need to learn, or four symbols that you need to learn, which I'm sure you've seen before. And they are right here at the top of the screen right here. There's the greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and then less than or equal to. So as you guys know, greater than is the one that looks like this, or the alligator is pointing outwards. It's going to be eating the left side here. Okay, so greater than looks like that. The greater than or equal to is the same symbol, except that to show the equal to part, all you do is you put a line at the bottom. Okay, so that's how you can differentiate between just one of the regular inequalities and when it has that or equal to at the end. So less than is the opposite, it's facing the opposite direction as the greater than, so it looks like this. Less than or equal to, same symbol, but it has the line underneath. Okay, so the first part of the day is to take these symbols, and I'll give you some words, and all I want you to do is to just translate them. Okay, so -4 is less than 3. So when I say translate, that means that when you work these out, or when you translate, there should be no more letters or words in the final answer. Okay, so all we do is we take each thing. So -4 is less than, so looking at my four choices here at the top, less than is this guy, so -4 is less than 3, just like that. Looking at number 2, x is less than or equal to 8, so x is less than or equal to, so that's this symbol right here, and then 8, just like that. Number 3, -3 is greater than -5, so I have -3, greater than is this first symbol, just like that. Number 4, y is greater than or equal to -5, so here's my y. Greater than or equal to is this bottom one right here, so greater than or equal to -5, okay? And then we have number 5 here. How would you write -4 is less than x and x is less than 2? So what we call these is they're like the combined inequalities here. And so what you want to do is it's combined because there's two of them, right? And the word that's separating them is this word and. And a good way that I remember how to write an and statement is sandwich. Okay? So I'm going to underline that and right there so that you remember. Sandwich. And whenever you have an and statement, you want to remember that you're going to have to sandwich the x. So here's my x. Because the variable that we're dealing with in this problem is x. You want to sandwich the variable in between two inequalities that look like this. Okay, so two that are pointing to the left, and all you do is you just take the one that makes sense. So here's my two numbers, -4 and +2. Which one is the smaller one? -4, right? -4 is the smaller one. So the smaller one goes on the left side. Okay. And then the bigger one, which is the 2 in this problem, goes on the left side. Okay, so sandwich, an and statement always gets sandwiched like this, where the x is in the middle or the variable's in the middle, two inequalities that are pointing to the left side, smaller number out of the two that they give you goes on the left, bigger number goes on the right. Okay, so here we go. How would we write -3 is less than x and, so I'm going to circle the and so I know it's a sandwich. Okay, so once I see that and, I'm going to put it like that. X is less than 10. So here's my two numbers. I have 3. I have 10. The smaller number out of these two is 3, so I put that on the left side. Bigger number is 10. Put that on the right side. And that's it. Okay? Alright. See how you guys do with number 7. Oh, actually, number 7 is a little... Oh, no, it's not. It's not different. Okay. How would we write -7 is less than or equal to x, and x is less than 10. So try and do that one yourself, and then I'll do this one right here. Okay, so there's your final answer. I see an and right there, so I know it's a sandwich. X goes in the middle. My two numbers is -7 and 10, so -7 smaller goes on the left side, and then 10 is bigger, so it goes on the right side. Okay, so that's some basic translating for the inequality symbols. The next thing I want to go over quickly is absolute values, and so let me put these absolute values on here. So if I have the absolute value of 8, remember an absolute value is how far away a number is from 0. So how far away a number is from 0. Okay, so if I drew my number line, if that might help you out. Oops, that's not a good thing there. So let's say here's my 0, okay, and then here's a number. So in this first example I have 8, so you know 8 is going to be on this left side here. How far away is 8 from 0? How many places? So I would go 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 8 is 8 spaces away from 0, okay. And now this used to trick me a little bit when I was younger. I wanted to say that absolute value of -8 is -8, but that's not necessarily true, because remember the definition of absolute value is it's how far away is the number from 0. How many spaces do you have to hop to get to 0? So here's -8, and I'm going 1, 2, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I also go 8 spaces, even though it's a negative number, you're still going 8 spaces to get to 0. Another thing to remember here too is that no matter what you put in an absolute value, whether it's a positive or negative number, the solution is always going to end up being a negative number. I mean a positive number, okay? So even though this -8 is inside an absolute value, the answer is always going to be positive. So here we go for this third example. I have 576, or -576. Even though this is a negative number inside here, my answer is always going to be positive. Okay, so no matter what kind of number you put, negative or positive, it's always going to give you a positive answer. And 500 and -576 is 576 spaces away from 0. So the final answer for this is 576. So the only time you might get a negative answer is if you maybe get something like this. Okay, the 2 in the inside of the thing is positive, and so when the negative is on the outside, then you're going to get a negative answer on the right side for the answer. Okay, so the only time you're going to get a negative answer for the absolute value is if the negative is on the outside of the absolute value. Even in this situation, still going to end up being -3. Okay. So if it's inside the absolute value, it's going to be positive. If it's outside the absolute value, answer can be negative. So let's look at some absolute value problems here. So true or false. So here is what we have. In the first one on this page, I have the absolute value of -3 is greater than -3. So let's simplify this. Absolute value of -3, you know, is +3. Follow the rest of the problem is greater than -3. So is 3 greater than -3? Is 3 a bigger number than -3? It is, right? So answer for this is true. Okay. Looking at number 2, -25 is less than -10. So here we go. I have -25 there, so I have 25, right? Absolute value of -25 is 25. And then absolute value of -10 is +10. So is 25 less than 10? No, right? 25 is way bigger than 10. So this is a false statement. Now this one might be a little tricky, number 3. So let's see. Let's work this out. So I have -2. Absolute value of -2 is positive. You're going to drop this plus down right here. Okay. Absolute value of -5, you know, is +5. Okay, so if I simplify this, 2 plus 5 is 7. Okay, now what we do is we're going to drop that inequality down. And what I have here is negative 2 minus 5, the absolute value of that. On this left side, see how each of the absolute values are separated and they have a plus in the middle? On the right side here, the things in the absolute value are all chunked together. So what they want you to do is to work this out, negative 2 minus 5, okay, and leave the absolute value there, because you can only take an absolute value when there's only one number inside the absolute value symbol. So since there's 2 in here, you have to simplify it. So negative 2 minus 5, you guys know, is negative 7. And now that I've gotten only one number inside that absolute value, I'm good to go to simplify this, or take the absolute value. So absolute value of negative 7 is positive 7. Okay, if I drop these down, my statement says now 7 is greater than or equal to 7. So does that satisfy this problem? Is 7 greater than 7, or is 7 equal to 7? 7's equal to 7, right? So it does satisfy. This is true. Okay, 7 can be equal to 7. So answer for this one is true. And you don't have to put the exclamation points. I'm just super excited, so I put them in there. But that's it. Okay. Here are my last two problems, and basically what they are is they're just little basic equations for the inequalities. And so what's different about here is this part of it, and all this little e stands here for is treat it like it means equals. Okay, so what they want you to do is to solve this. Y plus 5 is greater than 7 if y is 1, negative 1, 0, or 2. So all you're going to do for this is you look at the numbers that are after the little e, the little fancy e, and you plug them in for y. And if they work out, they end up being in your final answer. So your final answer could be, let's put them in the little squiggly brackets there. That's a horrible drawing of them. Squiggly brackets, squiggly brackets, and we're going to just plug in each of the numbers that they gave us here and in for y and see which ones work out. So if I start with this first one, negative 1, so I'm going to sub out negative 1, so I'm going to sub out y for negative 1, plus 5 is less than 7, negative 1 plus 5 is positive 4. So is positive 4 less than or equal to 7? Is that a true or false statement? Positive 4 is less than or equal to 7. It's true, right? So what you can do now is, if it's true, we plug the negative 1, you're going to put negative 1 in your final solution set. Okay. Oops, it's not going to, that is definitely not what I wanted to do. Okay. Now what you do is you want to move on to the next number in the sequence. So the next number in the sequence is 0. So as I erase this, let's do that. So here we go. So instead of y, this time I'm going to plug in 0 because that's my second number there. So 0 plus 5 is less than or equal to 7. 0 plus 5 is 5. It's a true or false statement. 5 is less than or equal to 7. 5 is less than 7, right? So when I plug in 0, it works out. So my 0 gets to go in there because that's what I plugged in to see if it worked out. Okay. Let's try our last number. So our last number is 2. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in 2 for the y. So I have 2 plus 5 is less than or equal to 7. 2 plus 5 is 7. And we know that because it has that line underneath, yes, when they match up on both sides, that means that they're equal. So this one works out 2. Okay, so I can definitely put my 2 right there. So final solution set is going to be actually all the numbers, negative 1, 0, and 2. Alright, so last one right here, number 5. Let's go ahead and work on this. Okay. 2n plus 2 is greater than 5. here we go, my 4 numbers. I have 4 this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same process we did the last time. Let's put our little squiggly brackets at the end so that if they work out, we can just put them in there directly. Let's start with 1. 2 times 1 plus 2 is greater than 5. I have 2 plus 2 is greater than 5. 4 is greater than 5. True or false? That's false. True is 4 is definitely not greater than 5, so I don't need to put 1 down in my final solution set. Okay, let's replace this now and let's just keep going down the line. So I'm just erasing this first number so that it's a little easier for us to move through this quickly. Okay, so I have the 2 that's right here, and then my next number in my set I'm trying to test is 2, so I put 2 in there. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. Is 6 greater than 5? True or false? Definitely true. Okay, so I can put my 2 down in the solution set because when I plug in 2 for n, it works out. Okay, let's try and see what happens with 3, and then I'm going to let you guys do 4 by yourself. And then you can just look to see how my answers match up with yours. Okay, so here we go with 3. If I plug in a 3 there, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. Is 8 greater than 5? It sure is, so I can definitely put 3 in there. Okay. And then here we go, last one. You guys try by yourself. Try plugging in 4, and then I will put my work in here for you so you could see. So it definitely works out. Could definitely put a 4 there. And there's my final answer. So that's it, and don't forget to take the quiz.